Good morning. Welcome to Ronnie's Kitchenette for my kids. Today I am going to make Johnny cake. What is Johnny cake? Now the term Johnny cake is basically a fried dough. In the Caribbean, you will find this mostly in the Caribbean. Um, and also people call it different things. So you would hear terms like fry bakes or fried dumpling. Making Johnny cake dough is really simple. The ingredients that you would need would be all-purpose flour, sugar, white or brown sugar, salt, milk, shortening or lard. If for some reason you do not have any of these in your kitchen, you can always use butter, and you will also need baking powder. Okay, so now we are going to mix the Johnny cake dough. And in this bowl, I have already measured out 3 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And so I'm going to use a whisk to just mix these dry ingredients together. Now, because I am living in a colder country, it's important to have your wet ingredient, which is the milk, at room temperature. So what I did, I measured out my milk, and here I have 3/4 cups of milk. And I also have in here, I am using lard today, and I have put the milk, the sugar, the salt together, and I put it on this fire just for a few, maybe about a minute or so, until it becomes room temperature and the lard has melted. In here I have 3 tablespoons of lard, and I have a tablespoon of sugar, but you can put the sugar based on your taste. Okay, if you want your Johnny cake to be a bit sweeter, you can add more sugar. For me personally, I do not like to taste the sugar in my Johnny cake, so I put just a little bit of sugar in there just to help with the coloring of the Johnny cake when frying. So I have my ingredients here, and what I like to do, what I like to do, I like to start with flour. So I have my flour in the bowl. And for the salt, I have 1 teaspoon of salt. And let me explain. The reason why I added the salt and the sugar to the milk mixture is because I can go ahead and I can taste it to see if I have the right amount of salt in it. Okay, so but you can add the salt too. The salt and the sugar can also be mixed into the dry ingredients. But I like to taste it to make sure that when I have kneaded my dough, it has the taste, my desired taste. I personally like to taste the salt in my Johnny cake, so I do it this way so that I can taste it beforehand. I also have some extra flour, and I have the milk there, so just in case that I need to add some more milk, if it's dry, then I can add some more milk to it, or you can use water. You do not have to use milk. You can use water to mix this dough. So in the bowl, I have already mixed up the dry ingredients, and what I am going to do now, I'm going to make a hole in the middle of the flour. Okay, so my hands are already washed and dried, so I'm gonna just make a hole in here. It's like a volcano. And then I'm going to just pour in the milk and the wet ingredients in here. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my hand and just going to incorporate this mixture. At some point, you can use a whisk or a spoon to start incorporating this, but at some point, you are going to need your hands to help knead it in. Okay, I'm just going to combine this quickly and fold in. Another thing that you can do when you are kneading your dough, if you do not add the salt and the sugar to your milk mixture, you can also taste the dough while it is in its wet stage, and then you can just, if it needs a bit more salt, you can just mix in some salt in a bit of water and add it to the dough. Now again, if you are in a colder country, you may need to add a bit more liquid than is in the recipe. So I'm going to add a bit more milk to this. I like to knead my dough not stiff. I do not like my dough to be stiff. I like it to be nice and soft. Not too soft, but I'll show you as I go along. So you keep kneading. This feels really nice and smooth. There are no lumps in there. See how quickly this is coming together. I'm going to add a bit more milk to it. And because I warmed the milk a bit and I'm adding a little bit of cold milk to it, it's not really that cold because it has been out for a while. So it's clean the sides of your bowl and get all of that dough inside there. See how quickly that came together because the liquid that I added was just right. When you're kneading it, it would spring back to you. It's the best I can explain it. And you notice that it is not sticking. That's when you know that it's perfect, because it's not sticking to the bowl. Okay, so I am going to smooth this up a bit, continue kneading and smooth it up a bit, and then I'm going to form it into a ball. I'm going to cover it with some cling wrap, some plastic wrap, and I'm going to let it sit for a while, a few minutes, 15 minutes maybe. You can fry this right now, but I like to let it sit because when it sits, it gives the raisin agent time to just raise a bit and the dough gets lighter, and so when you're frying it, it fries quickly. I'll see you in a bit for the frying stage. Okay, so this is the ball stage of the dough. Okay, I have formed it into a ball, and now I am going to cover it with a plastic wrap so that it doesn't get a crust on it, because if you leave it like that, it's going to get dry to the top. So I put a plastic wrap over it, and then I'm going to put a nice clean tea towel over it and let it sit for a few minutes. Okay, so after about 15 minutes, this is what the dough looks like. As you can see, it has risen. Okay, so it's nice and soft. There is no crust on the top because of the plastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the dough into balls, and you make these based on the size of what you want your Johnny cake to be. Okay, this is going to give me a fairly good size, and you can see, and I'm just going to rest them on this tea towel. It is a clean tea towel. All right, you can use your countertop. However, if you're using a countertop or a breadboard, you can sprinkle some flour to keep it from sticking. All right, so I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to continue to make the balls out, and then I'll come back and show you how I shape the dough. Okay, so I have started forming the balls that I rolled earlier, and what I'm doing is I'm just pressing the dough, just going around and making it into a disc. And you can make this disc as thick as you want. It's just your preference. So I'm just going to go around and make a disc. You can also use rolling pin to do this, but I find using my hand is just faster. So I'm going to do that. And from my 3 cups of flour, you can see that it yields 12 Johnny cake. Okay, you can make them smaller and get more, or this is the standard size. All right. All right, so I have my pot on the fire with oil, and you want to put a lot of oil so that the Johnny cake does not stay at the bottom. Now, to test to see if the oil is hot enough, you can use a piece of dough and put it in the oil. When the dough floats up to the top, then you know that it is perfect. So as you can see, the dough has floated up to the top, and that is a good temperature to start frying your Johnny cake. Okay, I'm going to add another Johnny cake. As you can see, I have placed a slit right in the center there, and this is going to keep the Johnny cake from blowing up like a balloon. As you can see, it's rising up on that side, but the slit helps to control how big it gets. So you just let that fry up. Okay, let's see if this one is ready. Okay, yes, it's nice and golden. You have to be careful. Once one side of the Johnny cake is fried, the other side will not take as long. I'm just going to let that go a few more seconds, and then I'm going to take this out, and then I'm going to put it on a paper towel to drain so that the excess oil can drain off. And then I'm going to continue to fry the rest, and when I'm finished, I'll show you what they look like. So here is our final product. Our Johnny cakes are finished. Johnny cakes can be eaten at breakfast time, at lunch, for supper. Also, you can have whatever protein of your choice. Other tasty treat that you can make with Johnny cake is when it is hot, you can cut it open and you can put your favorite cheese inside, and and have it as a really nice snack or as a meal. So here you go, guys, Johnny cake.